Hello, I'm Malcolm Hauser.
And I'm Janice Baker. They say for a happy life you should dance as if no one is watching, but we hope someone is.
Oh, as we hope someone's watching this program, you particularly. And we're also going to meet a couple of ladies, young ladies, who are getting more out of watching dance. That's next on Our Time. Great to have your company in this episode of Our Time. Janice, did you dance like no one's watching?
Always do.
I've seen you dance.
And it's like...
I looked.
Hope no one's watching.
Our special guest in this episode is Nick Hughes from Restless Dance. Welcome to Our Time, Nick.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Then could you please, what does that actually mean, Restless Dance?
Restless Dance is a youth dance company that works with young people with and without disability, working together. So it's an inclusive dance company.
How was it first started then?
It was first started 27 years ago when Carclew brought a woman called Sally Chance out from England, who was a community dance worker, and Sally found herself working with two groups, a group of young people with a disability and one group of people without disability, and she thought, I wonder what would happen if I put these two groups together. And she did, and here we are 27 years later still going.
Yeah, so the community groups that she worked with in the UK, were they had disabilities only, or were they a mixture?
That I don't know. She did have some experience working with young people with disabilities, but yeah.
But this idea actually came through here in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, here's a clip that probably explains the whole thing much better than even you or we could.
The great thing about making work at Restless is that everything comes from the dancers. Restless is a dance theatre company based in Adelaide, and we produce work that's real, it's raw, and it's always unexpected.
The company's been going for 25 years. Even at that early stage, Restless was really in the forefront of working with young people with and without disability.
Our dancers are charismatic. They live in the moment when they're on stage. We're really excited to be launching our touring program so that we can take our work around Australia and overseas.
How many companies are there with young people with disabilities who are working with the best professionals in Australia to achieve fantastic results? I think the more people that can see Restless and what it does, the better. When you see a company like Restless, you go to the core, to the heart of the human spirit, and it's almost always with a sense of admiration, of wonder, of awe, and again, that's one of the primary functions of what arts do.
Well, that tells you a bit more about Restless Dance.
It's just beautiful. It's lovely to watch.
And it is interesting, Nick, that it takes everybody that's interested in dancing, but it's not necessarily for everybody with a disability. It's just people that really want to dance.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, the point I was trying to make, you know, so many people think, well, that means that everybody with disability would want to dance, but people with disabilities are like you and I. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people want to play sport, some people want to dance, some people want to paint.
Yeah. But then the core of the company has always been a group of young people with Down syndrome. And there does seem to be something about intellectual disability that people like to be expressive in movement in ways that they can't.
Particularly with Down syndrome.
Yes, and they can be very eloquent in movement in ways that they can't with words. So
I was heading in that direction because I know several people who have Down syndrome, and they're all artistically creative. And it's one of the aspects that often is perhaps overlooked by the general public.
Definitely.
Because they don't have the contact. And it is sometimes difficult to know how to communicate, isn't it? But the interesting thing about the dance work is you forget after a very short period of time that anybody has a disability.
Indeed, indeed. And in fact, in the last show that we did at, not the last festival, but the one before, we did a show in a hotel, and we deliberately didn't use the word disability in any of the promo. So some people turned up who were unfamiliar with the work and didn't know that it had people with disability in it, and were really surprised and enchanted and delighted by it. And, yeah.
It's primarily contemporary dance that you're doing.
Yes.
And the one you're talking about, if you'd like to actually pick up some more about Restless Dance, and if you Google Restless Dance, you'll see a whole lot of clips there of all sorts of different performances, and all different styles of work as well. And also in different sorts of venues, from theatre venues with, you know, very special sort of theatre lighting, down to what you're talking about in the hotel.
Is there an age group? Because they all look a similar age, or is...
Yes, we've been, because we developed out of Carclew, we've tended to work with 15 to 26 as an age group, but we have a younger age group now as well, so that people can start as young as 8. And we've got a seniors group for people who've been involved with the company over the years. So I think our oldest one is about 56 now.
Wow.
So. But
do you mean when we get old we can't dance anymore? What are you meaning here?
No, I'm sorry, you're not old enough for the seniors group.
Oh, right. Well,
Really?
yes, interesting. But one of the things you've mentioned twice is Carclew, and just for the people interstate, it's worth mentioning that Carclew is a big old building that was bequeathed, I think, to the city by the Bar Smith family. I think that's right. I noticed maybe not in your time here in South Australia. And it's become sort of an arts centre for youth and for all sorts of different things, because in this old building it has this wonderful big ballroom that's often used as a performance space, and it has a tower, and
it's a beautiful building.
Beautiful old building at North Adelaide here in South Australia. But you didn't come from here originally.
No, I'm English originally.
So how did you get involved with this company?
Well, I came to live in South Australia for reasons of the heart, and I was...
You love South Australia?
It means he met somebody who fell in love.
That's right. And I was working part-time for the Australian Writers Guild, doing some administrative work, and my partner said, oh, look, Restless Dance are advertising, and I'd seen the work, and I loved the work. So it's always wonderful to be able to work with a company where you actually really like the work, you know. So I applied, and yes, they gave me the job.
But in administration, do you feel separated from sort of what's going on the floor while you're doing the administration side, or are you actively involved in that part of it?
Oh no, I'm separate. I do the budgets and the background stuff. I don't.
And the touring?
Don't work on the floor. I went to Brisbane this year as part of APAM, the Australian Performing Arts Market. We went up there. But generally speaking, no, I don't do the touring.
Where does the money come from to sort of take care of the group?
Most of it is from government funding, from arts funding. We get 4-year funding from the Dance Board of the Australia Council, and we get funded at a state level, both by Carclew and by Arts South Australia. And we play catch as catch can with philanthropic money, and
which we're actually going to talk about in a minute. A group who have helped you in that way. But is it expensive to keep a group like this together?
Yes. It is. We're starting to move, but when we first started, we were very much a sort of community-based organisation. We've been moving in the last few years under the leadership of Michelle Ryan to much more to a professionally based model. The dancers used to pay us to come, now when we can afford it and when we can, we try to pay them to do major seasons and touring work.
So
wonderful.
I'm heading in the direction of how important it is for audiences to come to see, because clearly that's where some of your income's coming from. So for somebody who's never been to see this sort of work before, how would you broadly describe it? I mean, that's like, I suppose, saying, describe, I'm thinking of something very common, Jack and the Beanstalk and Aladdin. As
Well,
kids'
I think
performances, it's difficult to
The best,
say what
the
are
best
they.
summary was given by Michelle, in that it's real, raw, and always unexpected.
Yep.
For a long time, we've had a tagline of unexpectedly real, because it is surprising.
Well, it's as we said before, it's like dance as if no one is watching. And I guess for these people, they just, even if there's a choreographer, still they would feel it in a different way maybe and interpret...
Contribute.
...how they
Do you
would
mean
want to.
like contribute
Yes.
to the choreography?
All the work is drawn out of the dancers.
Right.
The work is built up by providing the dancers with a series of creative intellectual challenges,
Sure.
imaginative challenges, and they're asked to respond in movement. So that the dance sequences are then built up from what they bring
Right.
in response to that. So all of the work comes from the
them.
dancers. Yes. So yes, they are part of it, and they're very. Yes, it comes from them.
Their contribution is really the end piece
Yes,
as well.
indeed.
Yes. So they're at the beginning and they're there at the end, you might say.
Indeed, they are.
It's a very admirable thing on one hand, but also a wonderful human thing on another, that we can embrace everybody, isn't it? That's really the motive.
Indeed, it's an inclusive company, which is really important. It's about young people with and without disability working together. And
Right.
it's that inclusiveness which makes it quite distinctive and different, I think.
It just, from what we saw, looked just beautiful.
Yeah.
So it
Yes,
would
and
be,
the community
I think,
working together is what we're about to talk about,
yeah.
because we've got two girls here from a theatre club who have actually been philanthropic, I'm glad I said that correctly, in helping the company. So we'll be back to meet them in just a moment. We're back and welcome back to our time. Now we have a cast of thousands.
We do. We have Christine Hauser and Jean Hancock have joined us. Thank you, ladies, very much for
Welcome,
coming
girls.
on the
I called you
program.
girls before, and you are. It's great to have you on the program, because a lot of people living here in South Australia would have heard the name in the past, Lee's Theatre Club, because it was a very popular club for people to be a part of, to go out and see theatre productions. How many people do you think have been in the group?
Well, in the initial stages, there were up to 1,000 members. It was very, very popular. The club's been going for 48 years.
Right, and that was because Mrs. Lee, I always knew her as Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
She was still Mrs. Lee to you?
No, we used to call her Pat.
Oh, Pat, okay. Well, because Pat instigated this group.
Yes.
And what
From
happened?
her home, is that correct?
Yes.
Is Christine, is that?
Yes. The club operated, well, they bought a house in 1973. The club started in 69.
It was a bit of a mansion.
It was a mansion. It was a heritage listed building, yes. And the club operated out of there until Pat's death in 2011.
Now, unfortunately, after she passed away, the house was in poor condition, wasn't
Very
it? So
poor.
what did you do?
Well, we were unable to insure it, so we had to sell. It took us a year to get rid of the junk. And
Contents.
Then, sorry,
Contents. Because there would have been a lot of theatre props because,
yes.
because of running the theatre there.
Yeah.
It was a home theatre, wasn't
Yes,
it? That used to be run there, yeah.
So we got rid of all this stuff, and in 2015 we sold it, and with the money we invested it. and we're able to work. We now work out of serviced offices in Netley.
Right.
And the money was then what was available to...
But that's made you a philanthropic group.
Yes.
And the reason we heard about this was obviously because of Restless Dance and the fact that you were able to support Restless Dance.
Well,
how did that come about?
One of the committee members brought an article about Restless Dance. We do try and financially help local theatre more than international or Australian theatre.
Mm-hmm.
We discuss the projects at the committee meetings, and we often have quite a bit of dissent about what we feel about certain things. But they seemed very interested in Restless Dance, and they appointed myself and Jill Craig to make a contact with Restless Dance and find out a bit more about them. I was very interested because of the disabled aspect that was involved in it. So I went home and did some research on Google and the computer, and I got very, very excited about it. So Jill and I contacted them and arranged to meet them, and all that happened very quickly. We were very impressed when we saw your premises, but we were more impressed with the enthusiasm, the perceived integrity of Belinda, Michelle and Nick. And we felt very welcomed. Walking around the premises, we were sold. It was beautiful, functionally perfect for what they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they had great plans for the future. So we went off very happy. And Jill couldn't go to the next committee meeting, so I had to sell it to them. For some reason, it took about 2 minutes.
Right.
And we brought up a sum of money, the largest we've ever given to one group.
Mm-hmm.
And they agreed.
And what did that mean to you, Nick, as an organisation?
Oh, it meant an awful lot. They were, I mean, we love talking about Restless, as you can tell. but it was very nice to meet Jill and Jean, and we were happy to chat, and they were charming, and then they went away, and we thought, well, they might give us a bit of money, they might not, but they might give us some money. But when they came back and told us how much they were going to give us, we nearly fell over, because it's a significant donation, and it makes a big difference in terms of us being able to tour. That's what we've been fundraising for.
Yep.
And we're wanting to take the amazing work of the dancers to tour nationally and internationally, and that's an expensive thing to do. So it's a very, very welcome donation.
Also, it's important to make a point here that it's not the group themselves putting money in to make this happen. This is because, as a group, you wisely invested money from the sale of the house.
Yes.
So the legacy of Mrs. Lee, I keep calling her Mrs. Lee, but the legacy of Pat Lee has gone on in a way that perhaps she may not have even considered. But as a group, you're able to help other people, which is brilliant. And we should just explain to people, this little handbill here is basically about the group. Where can these things be found?
In libraries, community centres, we've got them distributed all over the place.
And you have a website?
Yes. We operate out of serviced offices. Our email address, etc.
Yes,
website,
we're putting that on the screen now for you.
The website, if you contact us, we can ring you back, email you our program.
And then you have a little program that goes out like this little booklet?
The program is produced every 3 months.
Which you do, Christine?
Which I do, yes. And it gives you something to go to every Saturday and during the week as well.
So it's quite
but
a
as
bit
you were telling us too, it is a program they like for people to go to something not by themselves but with other people.
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
the aim.
In Pat's days, we used to get tickets, And with our ticket, we were told who we're sitting next to, and it always said, please speak.
The wall.
Yes. And
The aisle.
these days, our tickets we get at the theatre, but we usually go to dinner beforehand.
Oh, what a lovely...
Yeah, isn't it a great
nice
idea?
thing to do.
And, you know, it's really hard to get this story out to people that these sorts of organisations exist, because I think we've become a bit insular in life and we tend to sort of circle around family or this little group of people that we know. But how many people are out there watching this program in South Australia, and we'll talk about the other states in a tick, but how many people, oh, that's just what I've been looking for.
Would love to go and see that, but I don't really want to go by myself. So,
but it would be having the same interests, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so people who enjoy going to see live performances.
Whenever I go out, I always carry the flyers with me, and I've been known to give them out at dinners in the theatre.
Oh, good on you.
Last Saturday night, I gave out flyers to the people behind me.
Turn to the person sitting next to you and give them a flyer, I say.
I do.
What a good idea. Now, if you're in another state, these organisations do exist all over the country, so it's a matter of perhaps Googling theatre clubs in your state and just seeing what you can come up with. And Googling is so important. We were just talking before about probably the need to get a Facebook account, because that's another way that people can communicate.
Yes.
What do you see the future of the group being?
If we don't get a move on and get lots of new members, the future is very much undecided.
Right.
Oh.
And we're all very sad about that. But we are getting into the upper age group. We can't do the work we did do at one stage.
Yes, quite.
We need
Younger people to become involved.
middle-aged people.
Yeah.
Young people can suggest
That
to your
counts us
parents
out,
and
I'm sorry,
grandparents.
doesn't it?
Oh, no, you're welcome.
Oh, really? Oh, but we're not middle-aged yet. But hang on, just hold that thought. We've just got to take a quick break and we'll be back to talk to these lovely people about the group in just a moment. Welcome back. Lovely to have your company. We have some fabulous people here from Restless Dance and from, just say the name of the club again.
Adelaide Theatre and More Social Club.
Theatre and More. And if you're living in the other states, then you may need to Google to find out if there's something similar to this in your state.
But if you are living in this state, then these lovely people would actually like some help. If there are some younger people out there that would like to come in that love the theatre, then reach out.
Definitely.
Because you're looking for someone who can do this a bit more, like with Facebook and emails, and help you contact people wherever. But the other good thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that you usually get theatre deals, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Because you travel as a group, you're not paying the same amount of money to see a show.
Yeah, and normally to go to the theatre we'd get a concession, which was very much how Pat did it in the old days.
Yes, she did.
But because we haven't got as many members,
sometimes
it's not as easy to get the concession limit.
Well, in our side of business, running a theatre as I do, we call you the angels. Because, because you are, you see, because you collect a whole lot of people together, buy a whole bunch of tickets, and we're all happy to give you a discount. And I must talk to you about our back-to-back short show festival coming up at my theatre at the end of
Nothing
October.
like promoting yourself on
No.
Sorry, people.
But that's what you're here for, to promote the group.
Yeah.
Because it is a very viable group. It's been running for a very long time, and I have personal experience with people being part of the group and coming to see shows. But also, as Nick knows, we've known about Restless Dance because we used to share a building at one time, a long time ago, and it was so admirable to see what was happening. But as you said, it started off more or less as a class situation, as an activity that's now grown into a properly funded body. And it really is breaking records all over the place, what's been achieved with this.
Indeed, we were multi-award winning last year.
Yes.
We won a Ruby.
A Ruby Award.
We were nominated for a second Ruby. We got the Adelaide Critics Circle Group Award for Professional Theatre, and we were nominated for a Helpman. So.
Which is
Wow,
brilliant. And
that's
girls, good luck
fantastic.
in the future. And I hope being on this program has given a bit more air to your wings to spread the word. And on that note, we have to fly off.
We do. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you,
We wish you all
Malcolm.
the very best.
It's
Janice.
a pleasure. And keep
Thank you
yourself
both.
nice until next time we see you in a theatre with these lovely people. Bye for now.